Well, I can answer that for the President. It's for him. I'd
rather have him answer.
Yeah, I'd rather answer. It will be.
Our President will respond to you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on around a quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me.
Influence, move with a practice grin, shaking hands with the lights that dim. The White House walls heard his claim to fame, but the shadows whispered a different name. Oh, am I false? So what's the cost? Truth uncovered, bridges crossed. You played the game but lost your way. Now the world sees the price you pay. Pretending blind to the cries at home, while the streets of SA ache and moan. Right, the man with the golden hue, but the deal fell flat and the lies broke through. Oh, am I fool? So what's the cost? Truth uncovered, bridges crossed. You played the game but lost your way. Now the world sees the price you pay. Closed doors, the mask came off. No suits, no ties, just shadows aloft. The past screams loud from the buried ground. Now the silence breaks with a deafening sound. Oh, am I false? So what's the cost? Truth uncovered, bridges crossed. You played the game but lost your way. Now the world sees the price you pay. What's the cost? Truth uncovered, bridges crossed. The horrors rise from a nation torn. Whispers turn to cries of scorn. History's weight won't stay concealed. Every wound must one day heal. Oh, am I fool? So what's the cost? Truth uncovered, bridges crossed. You played the game but lost your way. Now the world sees the price you pay. What's the cost? Truth uncovered, bridges crossed. You pay.
And they're doing precisely what we said we as South Africans should not do. We should stop running to other countries. We should discuss our own problems here. Happened in a House committee, and that whole process still has a long way to go, and discussions will be ongoing, and we don't know exactly what is driving all this, and our bilateral dealings and engagements with the United States will continue, and we will talk about all manner of things, including precisely this issue and many others. We've got good diplomatic relations with the US, and we want to enrich them and make them better. So we are very positive that the outcomes of our engagement with the United States will be comprehensive and all-encompassing, so that we can return to good dealings with the United States. Thank you so much.
Cyril the waffle man stands in the haze. His words like syrup in a sticky maze. Leads like a noodle limping wet, promises made, but none are met. No backbone, no fight, falling shadows in the night. Cyril the waffle man, where's the plan? Spinning circles, no solid stand. South Africa drips, no rudder, no hand. Cyril the waffle man, where's the plan? Poverty creeps, it's a thief in the dark. Empty pockets, no spark, no mark. Crime's a beast with 1,000 teeth. It bites, it scars, no sweet relief. No backbone, no fight, falling shadows in the night. Cyril the waffle man, where's the plan? Spinning circles, no solid stand. South Africa drips, no rudder, no hand. Cyril the waffle man, where's the plan?
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hey folks, what's going on? Just got to deal with something over here very quickly here. Just let me check on something here. Got a small problem with the broadcast. Try to fix it here very quickly. Just a second. There it is. Okay. Just a second. Okay, just had to take care of something. Sorry about that. Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Another busy day today. Press conference with the Bulls this morning. After that, coordination conference with a media outlet. After that, a telephone call that I had to take. After the phone call, then it was still prep for this and recording a video, editing the video, which I published a short while ago. And after that, I've got to do the interview with Charles. What's with this polo? It's not cooperating. Interview with Charles Kleinhaus later today, and then I've got to get in the car and drive to D.C. for a meeting in Washington, D.C. tonight. 2 hours down, minimum 2 hours back. It's going to be a long day. We got rugby tomorrow. I need to get a haircut tomorrow, beard trim, lots going on. Anyway, that's my problems. Anyway, and I will be on the road this week, so I'll get in touch with you guys about things once I'm on the road. Okay, so let's say hello to everybody. All right, so there's a super chat from Mad Max. Thank you for that. All right, who we got in the chat? Quite a few people here. I can't get all of you. Shannon, Lynette, Chronic, Road Captain Kev, Miranda Duplessis, Darlene, Fourie, Maddie, Christo Els, Ronel Clote, Lana Rutz, the Vessels family, Rebecca, Loretta, hope things improve for you there. Darlene Fourie, I already said. Art, Queen, Eliza Altz, Bill Myras, Mr. Miss Smith, Marinda said, Joy Thron, Arnold Neveling, Craig Hanslow. I can't get to all you guys. I'm going to have to skip ahead. We got to get to the news. Lots of news to cover here, folks. So my apologies. I'm not greeting you all, but you're all very welcome to the program. unless you're a hate wanker or a leftist lunatic who comes to argue. Sarah Milton, car guards. I didn't welcome all the Neanderthals on the left-hand side of the aisle, the canines in the center, and of course the right-wing podcasters over here on the right wing, and all of you aspiring car guards who sit anywhere in the bowl. It's open seating for aspiring car guards. You know, we realize your income is low, tips are tight, people are stingy, therefore you can sit in all the cheap bleacher seats, okay? Oh, wait. Mad Max says 2 videos of what he said on tariffs negotiations. Okay, not sure what that's all about. Let me see what that is. Leave YouTube. No, I don't want to go. Okay, I can't. That's what I hate about that. You sure you want to leave YouTube? Yes, go to the site. What is it? That's on X. Okay. Okay. All right, I'll get that a little bit later on. That's 2:44 and 50 seconds. Going to have to get that later on. 3 minutes to dedicate to now not know what he's saying is a dangerous situation. Essentially, a shocking video of an elderly gentleman being attacked and chased from Adding Hospital on your WhatsApp. Okay. I didn't see that. Sorry about that. And thank you, Leslie, for your membership. Thank you. Val Cooper, what's going on? Okay, and thank you for the super chat. Okay, my chat is locked up. There we go. It's finally moving now over here. Right. And Leslie Wilson, thank you for membership. When are they going to get the money for paying this approved bill? You talking about the South African government? I don't know where they're going to get the money from. Don't know where they're going to get it from. I must be a joker, says the hot full biker. How are you a joker? Oh, clowns to the left, me, jokers to the right. Gotcha, guy. What are you going to do when Hulkamania runs wild on you? Yeah, somebody mentioned Hulk Hogan passed away. Deaf, not homeless. Thank you. Yeah, Ozzy's gone. Hulk Hogan's gone. Yeah, I didn't hear that. That must have just happened. Hulk Hogan. Wow, 71. That's too young. He's not dead according to this. Oh, no, he's dead there. Sorry. Okay, Newsweek says he's dead. TMZ says he's dead. Wow. Jimmy Hart shuts down rumors about Hulk Hogan's death 24 hours ago. I guess that was a little premature. Hulk Hogan is one of the first wrestlers to make the jump to WWE, from WWE to Hollywood. His first role was in Rocky III in '82. What else? Okay. Charlie Koch is the one announcing it.
And I see all the real Americans. I think about how Donald Trump, his family was compromised. When I look out there and I see Donald Trump, I think about how his business was compromised. But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero and they tried to kill the next president of the United States? Enough was enough, and I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
Whoa, that was last year. That's not even a year ago, and he's passed away. Jimmy Hart addressed the swirling rumors of Hulk Hogan's health, offering a positive update that should put fans at rest just 24 hours ago. Through a Facebook post, he announced that Hulk is doing great and recently enjoyed a fun night of karaoke with his son. Hart's statement comes in response to recent claims made by Bubba the Love Sponge, who alleged that a source had spoken with Hart and relayed that Hogan was in serious condition. Yeah, well, here we are 24 hours later, and his death is being reported. Newsweek has reported, TMZ has reported it, Yahoo Sports has reported it. Wow. TMZ, not usually a place I go for news, but TMZ staff said Hulk Hogan dead at 71. Wrestling legend Hulk Hogan has died at 71. Medics were dispatched to his Clearwater, Florida home this morning, with operators stating it was regarding cardiac arrest. We're told a slew of police cars and EMTs were parked outside his home, and he was carried on a stretcher into an ambulance. Cops tell officials responded to a call at 9:51 this morning. Folks, that's just not even 2 hours ago, or a little over 2 hours ago. He was treated at Clearwater Fire and Rescue personnel before being taken nearby hospital. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. Wow. Just a few weeks ago, his wife Sky denied rumors that he was in a coma, stating his heart was strong as he recovered from surgeries. Wow. Hulk Hogan. Wow, man. Jeez. Yeah, you know you're old when everybody dies, but I mean when they die young, like Michael Jackson, you know, it's not such a thing, or Laura Branigan. But yeah, when they all die because they're getting old, man. Caitlin thought it was the Hulk. No, Hulk Hogan was a wrestling guy. Dead at 71. Man, it's crazy. All the people just man. Oof. Man, oh man, oh man. That's why you have to keep growing subscribers on YouTube. People pass away. You got to keep going, man. Oh my goodness. Yep. Yeah, rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Thoughts and prayers to his family. Yeah, I didn't like that wrestling either, Arthur Fundamental, but Hulk Hogan was a character. I enjoyed him. He's an interesting guy. Always entertaining. Unlike Randy Savage, I didn't really care for him. Yeah. Or Rick Savage. What's his name anyway? I can't remember anyway. Wow. Anyway, let's get to the news. So much to talk about today. We're going to get into it. First off, let me just, there's 600 plus people here right now, so hit the like button if you don't mind, guys. It's not hard to do. Come on. Push the algorithm, feed the algorithm, chat, say nice things. Well, don't say bad things, but say whatever you want.
That was easy.
Yeah, you look good for a 71-year-old. Get the algorithm fed so we can get more people in here, maybe 1,000 in the stream. But let me just say this. Events the past 24 hours have humbled me yet again. No, not in a bad way, but in a positive way. I've had conversations with very influential people, and I've heard phrases that just kind of warmed my heart and made me feel very humble. Someone wanted to work with me, and I asked, how did you come across me? How do you know about me? And this person, who's very well known in South Africa, said, Chris, everybody knows who you are. It's like, wow, everybody knows who you are. They're working on a project, and they said every single person they contact says, have you got the Colonel? Is the Colonel part of this? You got to get Chris. Wow. Very humbling. Very humbling. Anyway, and some events taking place here in the States as well. Some events taking place in the States here as well. I've been in contact, and this is one reason why I'll be traveling over the weekend. I'll be here Saturday for the games, but I'm going to, well, I might still be able to do the Cheetahs game. Yeah, I just got to check the time. I don't think I might be able to do it, but yeah, so anyway, yeah. All right, let's get to it, folks. Conflict is broken out between Thailand and Cambodia on the border, where the Thais have launched an attack into Cambodia. Well, it's getting dicey now. Wow. Thailand launches airstrikes on Cambodian military targets as a deadly border dispute escalates. Thailand launched airstrikes against Cambodian military targets along the long-disputed border, escalating tensions between the two Southeast Asian neighbors. Thailand also accused Cambodia of launching rockets into civilian areas. Thailand's health ministry said at least 12 people, including 11 civilians and 1 soldier, have been killed in clashes with Cambodian troops. These strikes come a day after a Thai soldier lost his leg to a landmine on the border, prompting a downgrade of diplomatic ties between Bangkok and Phnom Penh as relations collapsed to the lowest level in years. Thailand's Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra was suspended this month and could face dismissal, and all that's happening in the backdrop. They have a relationship of cooperation and rivalry, but they share a 500-mile, 800-kilometer land border. My goodness. So that's not good, folks. Armed clashes have led to multiple deaths and injuries on the Thai side. At least 11 people killed in deadly clashes. The outbreak of fighting between the Southeast Asian neighbors follows weeks of tensions which have been brewing since May, when a Cambodian soldier was killed in an armed confrontation on the border. In February, a dispute over Prasat Ta Moan Ton, a Khmer temple close to the border of Thailand, intensified when Thai police stopped Cambodian tourists from singing their national anthem at the contested site. Wow. Not pretty, folks. Thailand launches airstrike, and Cambodia as border clash escalates. Tensions between the neighbors have escalated after a Cambodian soldier was killed in a skirmish earlier this year. Yeah, they've intermittently had fighting for decades, but this one is sparked with an airstrike taking place. Well, Julius Malema pops up out of his gutter hole and says that there's an arrest warrant out there for Masamola. And he says there should be one out there for Mkunu as well. What is he? Now, he's on the Judicial Service Commission, but how would he have this information? Once again, I don't know that any of this is true because you have to have placement access. But in the leaky sieve that is South Africa's government, you don't really have to have placement access. You just have to know somebody. No, Sue. I'm not. No. Let me. I'm going on the road in the U.S. I'm going there. I'm not going to South Africa. So don't. Let's get that rumor. Just kill it right now. I'm not coming to South Africa this week. This weekend I'm traveling somewhere in the United States, and I'll let you know about it a little bit later on. Okay, but I'm traveling somewhere in the United States this weekend. Okay, and it involves planes, trains, and automobiles. Well, no trains. Oh man. There's a warrant for Masemola. I don't know why it's not being picked up, says Juju. EFF leader Julius Malema claims police minister Senzo Mkuno is headed for arrest after bombshell allegations of political interference made by the KZN police chief, Lieutenant General Nadla Mkwanazi. Malema said an arrest warrant also exists for National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola. There's a warrant against Masemola. It's out. I don't know why it's not being picked up. It means someone somewhere is playing politics and they want to undermine the independence of our justice system. Says the man on trial for everything except spitting on the sidewalk. I will not be sharing the stage with Aaron Strotz. Wow. They want to arrest the Minister of Police. That's why Mkwanazi is being charged by IPID. The plan has always been there, and that's why Mkuno is going ultimately to be arrested, said Malema. There are factions of the police. The minister working with Deputy National Commissioner Shadrach Sabia and National Commissioner Mkwanazi working with suspended crime intelligence boss Kumalo. There's a power struggle there. We want the truth to come out. What Mkwanazi said must be repeated back by evidence in the ad hoc committee and the commission of inquiry. I'm going to sit in that committee. I'm not scared of police, soldiers, or anyone, including drug cartels and criminals. Yeah. I'm not really convinced that Julius Malema is all that brave an individual. Well, the controversial U.S. bill targeting ANC leaders is likely to pass, according to a former South African ambassador. Well, I guess he's an expert on U.S. political system. A former South African ambassador and seasoned diplomat believes the controversial bill introduced in the United States Congress seeking to review relations with South Africa and impose sanctions on some leaders of the African National Congress will pass. Here's the thing. Where did they get off calling it controversial? No one's even spoken out against it when this article was published. This article was published and there was not even any backlash, no comments, no commentary, nothing. They just called it controversial because they didn't like it. Wow. On Wednesday, IOL reported that a bill which seeks to reevaluate the bilateral relationship between U.S. and South Africa and identify government leaders who should be subject to sanctions was passed by the House Committee of Foreign Affairs. Yep. The U.S.-South Africa Bilateral Relations Review Act of 2025 was introduced in April by Ronnie Jackson. Yep. Quite honestly, if this bill is likely to pass, and if you look at the numbers, both in the House and the Senate, currently the House consists of 435 members, and the Republicans have 219. I think Democrats 217, so it's likely to pass. This time last year, when the bill was first discussed during the Biden administration, 61 Democrats voted for the bill to go through, which has similarities with what we're seeing now. The only thing you see now that there have been added issues on this bill, for instance, there are questions of the relations with Taiwan playing its role, the question of the tension that arose between Rasul and expulsion, and it plays into this bill. So this bill is likely to pass. Makubela said the bill is also framed around the United States' national security, and Americans often close ranks across political divide once concerns about their national security are raised. Ladies and gentlemen, everything that this diplomat says is exactly what I've been saying for months. Hello, IOL. You want the news? You want the analysis? You want it in a prescient fashion long before anyone else figures it out? I'm here. Give me a call. 8675309. 8675309. Jenny, who can I turn to? You give me something I can hold on to. 8675309. 8675309. Seriously, IOL. I mean, you wait until almost August to get this from a former ambassador. I've been giving you this gold for months. Oh my goodness. Yep, it is likely to pass. Mm-hmm. Oh, they talk to Ernst von Sale, or they quote Ernst von Sale, but they don't quote me. Guys, man, you're so far behind the curve. All of this analysis I've offered for free for months. Anyway, a U.S. lawmaker slammed the sanctions bill. Oh, no. Say it ain't so, Joe. Oh, no, he's not president anymore. Yeah, Representative Jonathan Jackson, that would be the son of the Reverend Jesse Jackson, the Right Honorable Reverend Jesse Jackson, the leader of the Rainbow Coalition. Yes, the anti-apartheid stalwart Jesse Jackson. Yes, another one of his idiot sons. This one says it's a threat to decades of diplomacy. Hey, genius, have you noticed that diplomacy's in the tank because of that twit standing next to you there, or Ronnie Lamola? U.S. Congressman Jonathan Jackson has criticized the MAGA-driven U.S.-South Africa Bilateral Relations Review Act. But the problem with that is we just heard a former South African ambassador admit that this bill was there last year in a bipartisan fashion. It's not a mega bill, Jonathan Jackson. It's a bill. Oh, my goodness. He said, in fact, the bill threatens to undermine diplomacy at a time when strengthening its relationship is crucial. The bill proposes a full review of a relationship as long as the focus on South African government and ANC leaders. Yeah, it doesn't threaten anything. It just threatens them. If they had misbehaved, been miscreants, that wouldn't be a problem. He says this is not diplomacy, it's coercion, and it's based on deeply flawed premise that ignores the complexities of international relationships and strides we made together. What strides? We give them $500 million a year. What do we get?
Vaccine apartheid, racist America. Donald Trump is the leader of the global white supremacy and Americans are racist.
From your freaking diplomat accredited to Washington, D.C. The audacity, the cheek, the arrogance, the bigotry and racism it took to spew that garbage as a sitting ambassador in a public forum. Seriously? There's no diplomacy here. Jonathan Jackson, dig your head out of your rectum. Dig your head out of your rectum. Sorry. Yeah. 911? Yes. What's my emergency? Representative Jonathan Jackson, the Illinois 1st Congressional District, he's got his head up his ass. Could you send an EMT? Yeah. Can you guys, I know you get gerbils out of people's bums, but can you get his head out of his ass? His head is up his ass. Thank you. What diplomacy? What diplomacy? There is no diplomacy. No freaking ambassador. The last one was a racist. No special envoy. Just a big smoke and mirror scam on the South Africans. No trade representative. No trade delegation. There is no diplomacy between South Africa. The Trump administration is like, hello, over here. Hello, guys, we want to talk. Could you come to the U.S. Africa Business Summit? No, they sent a junior delegation. At the same time, they send a deputy minister to sign the condolence book for the Iranians. Yes, I was signing a condolence book on the loss of life when nobody died at the nuclear power plants the U.S. just destroyed. Are you serious? Are you serious? My goodness, this is just stupid. Unbelievable. So I'm sorry, Representative Jackson. You really need to do some introspection and, get your head out of your ass. It's a mockery. Oh, the ANC slams U.S. move to sanction its officials. Well, of course they're going to say that. What else are they going to say? The ANC has slammed the U.S. move to sanction some of its leaders. ANC spokesperson Malenge Bengu Motsiri says the idea of targeted sanctions against a party that led the freedom struggle is a mockery and embarrassing to anyone who entertains such thoughts. What's embarrassing and a mockery is that Malenge Bengu Motsiri actually thinks the ANC led the freedom struggle. They did lead the freedom struggle. They nearly scuppered the whole thing with their civil war and their assassinations of the Inkatha Freedom Party. Over 20,000 members of IFP murdered by the ANC, necklacing. That's what they did. From 1962, from the Rivonia trial until 1980, they were nothing. They were an afterthought. Meanwhile, the Black Sash, Steve Biko, the Pan-African Congress, journalist, lots of people fought. But none of that led to the end of apartheid. It was the collapse of the Soviet Union which ultimately sealed the fate of apartheid. But the ANC led the freedom struggle? What are you drinking, lady? Please, seek help. Hello, I'm sorry, yes. Yes, the Charlotte Mackxa Hospital. Have you rebuilt yet? No. Damn it, send me to a hospital that's functioning. Okay, another hospital. Yes, do you have a psychiatric ward? The spokesperson for the angry, naughty children desperately needs a straitjacket and a room for evaluation. Can we get that for her? Okay? Please. She thinks that the ANC led South Africa to liberation. She really thinks that. I'm not making this up. No, I know. It's kind of sad, actually. No, but this is the Kool-Aid they drink. I think they urinate in their Kool-Aid. That's probably why they're a little wacky there. But honestly, this is just pure insanity. These people really, look, I just sent, look, I'm sorry, it's a long distance call. I'm calling from America. You're in South Africa. Please let me finish. I just called an EMT for a congressman who's got his head up his ass. I don't know if her head's up her ass, but maybe she's just crazy. I don't know. ANC led the people to freedom. my goodness. That's a pretty good one. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe they did with the help of Joe Biden. Joe Biden once went to Robben Island in Soweto. Yeah. He met Nelson Mandela on Robben Island in Soweto. Did you know that? Yeah. Okay. That must have been when they led them to freedom. Thanks. Yeah. This cost me, I don't know, about 400 Rand. Cheers. Wow. Storm ZA said it spot on. What is a mockery is the so-called Liberation Party is oppressing people with racist legislation in 2025. That's the mockery. Rory, he said that. He said, I visited Nelson Mandela on Robben Island in Soweto. He actually said that. Yeah. Well, a crisis is averted, folks. Yay, high five. High five. Come on. Come on. Hercules, Hercules, yay! The national budget is passed in South Africa. Where the money comes from, nobody knows. Oh, the angry, naughty children got their budget. The DA and the ANC. Look at that crowd. Look at that crowd of folks there. Enoch Gondwana, he looks like a gangster. Is he trying to replicate the Cat in the Hat? Back in Chile. Look at him dancing, man. Yay! We passed the budget. More gravy trade. The National Assembly passed the appropriation bill averting a fiscal crisis that would have led the government to run out of funds by October. The bill now moves to the National Council of Provinces where it will be rubber stamped. The DA threatened not to support the budget, imperiling the bill's passage, but changed his tune after Ramaphosa's sack is a higher education minister. So one sacrificial lamb and the DA jumps right back into the boat with the ANC. Yes. Yeah, I'm telling you guys, Yeah, no, it's just the deal. So, yeah. Hello, yeah. So who's running that show now? It's not Casey Kasem? No, who you got there? It's not Casey. I know Casey passed away. He was wonderful, man. I love Casey Kasem. Good stuff, man. Good days. Good times at Casey Kasem. But no, I mean, seriously. So, I mean, what's the deal? Can I get a long-distance dedication? This one, I'd like to send this out to my dear friend Cyril Ramaphosa. Long-distance dedication, folks. It's a cry and shame. This one's for Cyril. This is honor of ESCOM. When the lights go out, ESCOM. It's a cry and shame on Afterlife Radio.
Load shedding nights, candles glow, no fridge, no heat.
Loving that liberation. The struggle.
The silence hum,
Freed us
a bit tone.
to have no electricity,
We're stranded here,
potholes,
left on our own.
no airlines.
Who flipped the switch? Who let it die? Who sold the dream? Who told a lie? It's a crying shame. No electricity. Flicker, fade. What's left
Natalie,
of
dim the lights.
dignity? Escom, dim the lights. Investors took flight. South Africa was world class. Now we just lose the fight.
We were once world class. It's a crying shame on Afterlife Radio.
The power cuts, the streets grow dark, the stars above are only spark. But even stars can't fuel the pain of progress lost down the drain. Who will we call? Who takes the fall? Who answers now behind the wall? It's a crying shame, no electricity. Flicker, fade, what's left of dignity? Escom, dim the lights, investors took flight. South Africa was world class, now we just lose the fight.
Come on, Cyril, fix ESCOM. You did put Kojisensa Ramakopa in as the Minister of Electricity.
Now we just lose the fight.
No power, load shedding, load reduction, business crippled, homes invaded, thieves in the night, thieves in the offices of ESCOM and the Thule House.
Now we just lose the fight. It's a crying shame. No electricity. Flicker, fade. What's left of dignity? ESCOM dimmed the lights. Investors took flight. South River was world class. Now we just lose the fight.
It's a crying shame on Radio Afterlife. That's the song in honor of ESCOM, the state power utility from South Africa. Aziz, lights! Aziz, lights! That's better. Kids always falling asleep. Kids always falling asleep. Anyway, sorry about that. Aziz is always falling asleep on me. Well, folks, let's turn our attention to aviation, which isn't faring any better in South Africa at the moment. Sierra spoke out on tariffs and said they're busy negotiating with the U.S. and spoke out on the bill and X. Is that the ones you sent me earlier, Mad Max, or is this something new? You sent me those earlier. Okay, I'll play this shortly if that's new. FlySAF Air is under fire for offshoring payouts amid staff wage freezes, but they had to pay for aircraft and stuff. So, is this a tempest in a teapot, or is it something to genuinely be upset about? Amid a pilot strike due to protracted wage negotiations along with domestic international licensing compliance deadlines, it's now alleged that FlySAF Air, South Africa's only budget air carrier, the only reliable carrier, transferred substantial cash to its shareholders in Ireland. A source said more than $1.2 billion was transferred abroad at the tail end of the COVID pandemic. During that time, FlySAF Air reportedly told employees it could not afford basic cost of living salary increases. The allegation is supported by the audited financial statements of SAF Air Aviation, a holding company with no employees and minimal expenses. According to statements, SAF Air Aviation Ireland received $54.5 million, another $20 million in early 2023 from its South African subsidiary, SAF Air Holdings. In total, over $74.8 million was transferred abroad in just over a year. FlySAF Air did not respond to requests for financial data covering earlier or later periods. This is not just executive hypocrisy, it's a textbook case of pandemic profiteering. Well, I don't know what evidence you have of pandemic profiteering. Repatriating profits for a company that invested capital abroad isn't necessarily profiteering. You need to show me some evidence of that. But anyway, this doesn't come at a good time for Kirby Gordon and FlySAF Air, who are going to have to answer these questions. Is that new, Mad Max? Is that new, or is that what you sent me earlier? It's new. Okay. All right. Is it on? What's it on his presidential thing? Oh my goodness. It's all breaking at this hour, folks. We can't even get through the news. Cyril's just talking himself away. So CYRILRAMAPH. Ramaphosa. Okay. Go to the presidency, see if it's there. No, it must be under his account. He's at the BMW plan on that one. So let's go to CYRI. Cyril Ramaphosa. Let's go to his personal account. It's the same ones. It's from 3 hours ago. There's nothing new here. Where are you seeing it? His last X post, he's got a pin one. That's 3 hours ago. On his account, the one is 3 hours ago. The one you already sent it to me. There's nothing else there. There's nothing else. Well, that's 3 hours ago, man. That's not breaking news. Okay, we'll get back to it. All right. So, yep, we'll get back to that towards the end. Thank you for that, Mad Max. All right, where are we at back here? Now I've lost where I was at. Okay, there we go. Well, South African Airways apparently is going to operate some FlySAF Air flights. Well, that's not good. You don't want to lose market share to that albatross, that dodo bird. South African Airways expected to accommodate numerous South African or FlySAF Air passengers this week after 200 of the low-cost domestic airlines pilots embarked on a strike action. In a notice to passengers, FlySAF Air said that SAA would operate 2 flights between Durban and Cape Town on Tuesday, with the arrangement expected to continue until Sunday. Well, that's assuming that SAA can keep the planes in the air. You know, that's not a given. We can't just assume that they can keep the planes in the air. Well, the wage deal is on the table if FlySAF Air eases pilot schedules. Apparently, they're working the pilots too hard. Solidarity said that it's willing to compromise on wage increases for pilots at FlySAF Air if the airline agrees to changes in the roster schedule. The union is currently in dispute over the low-cost domestic airline over wage increases and the pilot roster system. So apparently they're willing to give ground on the wages if you could just, give the pilots a bit of a break. Well, the Hawks have raided PRASA offices in Braamfontein over an 18 billion rand tender scandal. The Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, another state-owned enterprise under the African National Congress, has had its headquarters raided. The offices based in Braamfontein were raided by the Directorate for Priority Crimes, known as the Hawks. This comes after claims of irregular tenders being awarded have risen. The tenders are alleged to be around 18 billion rand. As the investigation unfolds, the Hawks have been tight-lipped about what's unfolding. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, that is $1 billion, as Dr. Evil would say. $1 billion. Hendo, you're late to the game. Don't dox the pilots. You don't dox people. It's their right to strike. No matter how selfish it is, it's their right to strike. Well, an update on this evil, evil child murderer. Nada Jane's killer now admits that she drowned the child in the bath. Look at that evil-looking woman. Amberly Hughes was accused of the 2023 rape and murder of a 4-year-old, Nada Jane Chalita. Amberly Hughes is charged in the rape and murder. Her case is back in the Gauteng High Court today. She pled not guilty throughout a trial. She's now admitted to killing the child. Hughes wept softly as her admissions were read into the record. I admit that I drowned the deceased Nadia Jane Therese Chalita on 23 January 2023 by sitting on her, which had the result that she was submerged in the water. I admit that after the deceased did not respond, that I left her in the bathtub whilst the cold tap water was running. Hughes said she tried to take her own life 3 times after killing the child. She tried to cut her wrist, then she tried to hang herself. There's the father and the mother. She said she originally planned to plead guilty to the murder, but due to incidents and occurrences beyond her control, she decided not to. When it came to the charge of raping Nadia Jane she was facing, Hughes remained adamant that she was not guilty. Good Lord. What an evil, evil person. Who does such a thing? She does look like Cruella de Vil. Sick people. The world is full of nasty people. Hey, Sloat, are you here? That's a white lady. I criticized her for being evil. You might want to put that in your little notebook, Sloat. Put that in your notebook, okay? Eskom is ordered to cough up 1 billion rand after a project for Coburg was canceled. Yep, they have to pay a French company. Eskom's been ordered to pay close to 1 billion rand to French nuclear contractor Framatome after the High Court in Western Cape found the utility refused to pay damages after it canceled the contract to install steam generators at Coburg. Yep, the ruling stems from a 2014 agreement. So the French company has been out of 1 billion rand since 2014 because of crooked Eskom. Well, folks, remember those soccer players that some genius flew to Portugal without a return ticket? How do you do that? Well, they're back in South Africa. 2 teenage soccer players and a coach who were stranded in Portugal have returned to South Africa. The stranded group of 35 young players and 4 coaches initially traveled to Spain, but discovered there was no return flights booked. 2 of the 25 and 1 of their coaches were stranded or relieved to be back. The return on Wednesday was met with loud cheers and emotional embraces. Keno Damons, 27, a coach who was with the group, said he was relieved to be home. Knowing our families were behind gave us, as coaches, experience Europe especially good for the young kids. Wow. Erica, 200 Rand Super Chat. Erica Suthi says, love your quips. South African Animal Farm is high on their Johnny Walker Blue Label and Tick. Tick, yes. Napoleon, Snowflake, and Squealer are going to wake up and become bacon. Many South Africans have had enough. Yeah, I think you're right. They might be seeing some tar and feathers in the future of South Africa. Kenny Kunene's claims about KT Molefe are pure lies, says Malema. Oh, Juju's putting out pure gold this week. Economic Freedom Fighters leader Julius Malema says Patriotic Alliance deputy leader Kenny Kunene's journalist story is pure lie, including his claim that he doesn't know the Santon businessman alleged to be DJ Somebody's killer, Katso KT Molefe. Taking a journalist is not a secret operation. Who's that journalist? Where's that journalist? Who's that journalist? Why would you take a journalist as someone who just came out of prison who's on bail as an MMC? I'm very happy, I dance even at night. Things are looking good. We told you these things are criminals. They are nothing else but Mumpadinti. He says he doesn't know that guy. He knows that guy. I know that guy. Not from a personal point of view. He's a well-known businessman. Until now, we knew him as a businessman. Millennium said, even though he knows Molefe is a businessman, he doesn't have any relationship with him. But I don't have a relationship with him like that, where I can call Patrice Motsepe or go to his house, take my wife, Patrice Motsepe's house. Patrice Motsepe's wife knows my wife. I don't know a guy like that. But for Kenny to behave like that in public office and say he doesn't know that guy, that's a lie. It's a pure lie. And that's how thugs, 26 and 28 gangs succeed. They lie. They think they can outsmart everyone. They're just lying, and they don't care whether you're convinced they are or not. They tell their story. It's done. Kenny's story is not coming together. This is pure comedy gold, man. I mean, how many times can Juju say lie in the same paragraph? This is good. I'm loving this. These clowns are eating each other alive. Trump's tariffs could be negotiated down to 10% for some African countries. Look at that. Starting at a base of 15%, but not for you, South Africa. No soup for you. Tomato basil. No soup for you. Yes, U.S. President Donald Trump suggested he would not go below 15% as he sets the so-called reciprocal tariff rates ahead of August 1st. But that's changing, apparently. Trump earlier this month said that more than 150 countries receive a letter including a tariff rate of probably 10 to 15%. So, looks like it's here to stay. Possibly 10% for African countries. We'll see. We'll see what happens. That's a possibility. Not saying a prediction, just saying it's a possibility. But you got to negotiate. Well, African cities are ranked among the world's top 20 for nightlife. Yeah, there's some great places to go, apparently. What is the number one city in Africa for nightlife? Take a guess. Take a guess. I'm sure you won't miss it. It's Cape Town, according to Business Insider Africa. Cape Town, South Africa, is coming at number 11 globally. Cape Town leads Africa's nightlife contenders with its electric mix of gritty warehouse parties, glamorous rooftop lounges, and infectious house beats. The city's nightlife is a hit with its residents. 77% of Cape Townians rated it as good or amazing. It's also the third cheapest city on the global list for a night out. From Amapiano and Guam to Deep House and Dancehall, Cape Town keeps the beat going well into the hours. And if you're interested in pops and sniggles, you hang out in the Cape Flats, where gunfire reigns nightly, every night, and people are murdered in shebeens. Yeah, that's pretty exciting, too, unless you happen to be the person murdered. Just saying. The Air India 787 Dreamliner crash is now being investigated as a criminal act. India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau is now looking into the June 12th crash as an intentional act. Wow. Now, the Aviation Board has criticized subsequent Western media reports as irresponsible, indicating the fuel cutoff switches were likely deliberately moved from one of the pilots. However, it's become very apparent, especially now with information I know and what's come out about the cockpit voice recorder, where the question is heard, why did you cut off the fuel? That someone had to have seen that action to make that statement. You just wouldn't have a dual engine failure. So the Indian Aviation Board criticized Western media for reporting what the Indian Aviation Board told people, and it criticized them for getting it wrong. Now they admit that it was intentional. Wow. Wow. Another crash. A Russian plane has crashed in the Far East, killing everyone on board. A Russian Antonov An-24 passenger plane carrying 50 people crashed in the country's Far East, and everyone on board was feared to have been killed. The burning fuselage of the plane, which was made in the Soviet era 50 years ago, was spotted on the ground by a helicopter, and rescue crews were rushing to the scene. Video shot from a helicopter and posted on social media showed the plane coming down in a densely forested area, pale smoke seen rising from the crash site. The plane was en route from the city of Blagoshchensk to Tinda, a remote town and important railway junction. That doesn't look good. That doesn't look good. French President Macron is suing a right-wing podcaster, Candace Owens. Hang on a second, folks. Let me look over here to the right. Neanderthals are here. Canine's in the center. Candace, are you over there? Right-wing podcasters? Candace, hello? Candace? She's not here. Sorry. So Candace Owens being sued for attacking Macron's wife. Owens disregarded 3 retraction requests after making defamatory allegations, according to the lawsuit. French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife have filed a defamation lawsuit against Candace Owens for the far-right commentators' repeated allegations that First Lady Brigitte Macron was born a man. The lawsuit is filed in Delaware, alleges that Owens ignored the Macron's attempts to set the record straight in favor of mocking them and retaliated when they requested a retraction. In an 8-part podcast she created in social media posts, Owens promoted outlandish, defamatory, and far-fetched fictions to boost her platform and make money, the lawsuit alleges. Among the claims are that Brigitte Macron stole another person's identity, that she and the president were blood relatives engaged in incest, and that they were committing forgery, fraud, and abuses of power. Owens' spokesperson Mitchell Jackson said she's not shutting up and called the lawsuit a foreign government attacking the First Amendment rights of an American independent journalist. Owens doubled down on the claims in a video Wednesday, saying that she had been sued by the First Lady man of France. Oh, she doubled down, man. She was sued by the First Lady man of France, and that the lawsuit was an obvious and desperate public relations strategy that the first learned of in the press. She also said the filing contained inaccuracies and that she and her representatives asked to interview Brigitte Macron before the podcast aired. The French embassy could not be reached for comment. Ooh, the Macron's attorney in the case, from Claire Locke and Farnon, helped represent Dominion in their bid against Fox News that got them a $790 million settlement. Proving defamation in U.S. courts is a high bar, especially against public officials, requiring that the publisher acted with malice, such as reckless disregard for the truth. Oh, Brigitte Macron. Gary Ringrose has withdrawn from the Lions' second test against the Wallabies. Having been picked in the British and Irish Lions team to face Australia in a second test in Melbourne, Senator Gary Ringrose withdrew from the side after feeling the effects of concussion in training. Well, that sucks. He's out. Gary Ringrose is out. Top UN court says countries must act on climate change. Now, this, folks, this is where we've got some serious issues right here. This lunatic panel of judges claims that they are going to dictate to the world who's responsible for emissions. Now, if you want to talk about emissions and per capita emissions, you got China, you got the U.S., and right there with us, South Africa, one of the most heavily polluting countries in the world per capita. So South Africa can't afford to pay these claims from these ridiculous little countries like Vanuatu. The International Court of Justice called global warming an urgent and existential threat and a closely watched case in The Hague. International Court of Justice issued a strongly worded opinion on Wednesday saying that states must protect people from the urgent and existential threat of climate change, a major moment for global environment movement and countries at greatest risk of harm. It was the first time that the court, which is UN's highest judicial body, has weighed in on climate change. The unanimous opinion said the failure of nations to take action to protect the climate system may constitute an internationally wrongful act. It also found that protection of the environment is a precondition for ensuring human rights and cited government support of fossil fuel production as a potential violation of these principles. Yeah, okay, you dingbat dipshits. Not allowing fossil fuels to be extracted, allowing people to freeze to death in the wintertime, or not produce electricity to run people's defibrillators, to run people's dialysis machines, to keep stupid people. Anyway, and it's already coming to fruition as Vanuatu, tiny, insignificant Vanuatu, threatens Australia. Yeah. The Guardian says Australia warned it could face legal action over wrongful fossil fuels after landmark climate ruling from the world's top court. Vanuatu climate change minister says the ICJ opinion gives Pacific Island nations much greater leverage in dealing with partners such as Australia. That's not dealing. That's trying to blackmail them. Australia could face international legal action over its fossil fuel production and failure to rapidly cut emissions, says Vanuatu's climate minister, after a potentially watershed declaration by the world's top court. The case was instigated by law students in Vanuatu and referred to the ICJ by a decision of the UN General Assembly, including Australia. The opinion was hailed as a historic moment by Pacific Island representatives, climate campaigners, and legal academics. Vanuatu said it planned to push for UN resolution support its implementation. Well, that's what you get, Australia, for being woke. You voted for this. Now you're going to be attacked, and they're going to blackmail you, and you're going to be impoverished while you give money to feed these people on these little tiny islands. Well, U.S. lawmakers have advanced that bill out of the committee to review the relationship with South Africa and sanction people. United States lawmakers have voted to advance a bill that proposes reviewing the U.S. relationship with South Africa due to objections over its foreign policy and potentially imposing sanctions on South African officials. U.S. Foreign Affairs Committee voted 34-16 on Tuesday to send the Bilateral Relations Review Act to the full House, where it could be subject to a vote. Well, 34-16. That means 7 Democrats voted for it. That means it was bipartisan support. And last year, when this bill was in the House and it didn't get through the Senate, 60 Democrats voted for it last year. And national security wasn't the major focus. So let's see what happens. The Justice Department apparently told President Trump that he was mentioned in the Epstein files many times. Bondi told the president at a meeting that Justice decided to not release more Epstein documents because of the presence of child porn and the need to protect victims. Why Justice Department officials reviewed when they reviewed what Attorney General Pam Bondi called a truckload of documents related to Epstein earlier this year, they discovered that Trump's name appeared multiple times. In May, Bondi, her deputy, informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files. Many other high-profile figures were also named. Trump was being told. Being mentioned in the records isn't a sign of wrongdoing. Officials said it was a routine briefing that covered a number of topics and that Trump's appearance in documents wasn't the focus. So there you go. Typically, the FBI doesn't disclose materials that aren't related to a charged offense. This is another fake news story, just like the previous story of the Wall Street Journal, said White House Communications Director Stephen Chung. In a statement at the Journal on Friday, Bondi and the Deputy Attorney General told Todd Blanche said nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution. Well, a lot of people are finding that hard to believe. They really are finding it hard to believe. Trump was told about his name being the Epstein files. Yep. White House sent mixed signals following the story. It released its initial statement characterizing it as fake news, but a White House official later told Reuters the administration was not denying that Trump's name appears in some files, noting that Trump was already included in a tranche of materials Bondi assembled in February for conservative influencers. Yeah, that's right. Gave all those right-wing podcasters the documents on February 23rd, and Trump was mentioned in it. What came of that? Nothing. U.S. government is building a 5,000 inmate immigration detention camp, except it's not for immigrants. It's for criminal alien invaders. I'm sorry, AP, Associated Press, that's propaganda. It's not for immigrants. We don't lock up immigrants. We lock up criminals. Pam Bondi. No, that's Kristi Noem. U.S. government is building an immense 5,000 person detention camp in West Texas. Defense Department contract announcement on Monday said Acquisition Logistics, a Virginia-based firm, had been awarded $232 million Army funds to build the facility. So the Army has lost $232 million of its budget to build a detention facility for criminals who don't belong in this country. Great. So readiness goes out the window. Well, President Trump has been pushing for a ban for those circumventing our system and violating the spirit of our Constitution by having anchor babies and dumping their babies on our border after invading our country. That doesn't entitle you to citizenship. The misinterpretation of the 14th Amendment, which was intended to grant citizenship to those formerly enslaved in this country, is not meant to give citizenship to criminals who violate our sovereignty and then drop a baby on our shores. However, an appeals court verdict echoes the decision of federal judge, the Ninth Circuit Court of San Francisco, where else? Donald Trump's effort to repeal birthright citizenship has hit another stumbling block with a federal appeals court in San Francisco declaring the president's attempt unconstitutional. The three-judge ruling panel in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals echoed a district court in New Hampshire that blocked the executive order earlier this month. Trump's executive order banning outright birthright citizenship was signed hours after he took office in 20 January. Birthright citizenship is a legal principle that allows nearly everyone born in the U.S. soil to become a U.S. citizen. The only exceptions, of course, are diplomats. Their kids born here are not. That's utter nonsense. They have no business being citizens if they violated our laws. Colombia agrees to pay more than $200 million to settle their anti-Semitic scumbag behavior. And as a consequence, the federal government will restore funding to the university. Columbia University reached a deal with the Trump administration, ending a confrontation that disrupted U.S. higher education and sparked contentious renegotiation of academia's relationship with the federal government. As part of the deal, Columbia will pay $200 million to the federal government over 3 years to settle allegations the school violated anti-discrimination laws. In return, Trump will restore nearly all the hundreds of millions of dollars in research grants that it pulled from Columbia back in March. Well, the Jew haters are still in charge at Columbia, and nobody's being sacked, so moving right along. I guess it's time to navel gaze over Epstein again, instead of important stuff. Only 13% of those in a Fox News poll say that the Trump administration is being transparent on the Epstein case. The Fox News poll released late yesterday shows Republicans were more favorable in assessing the Trump administration's handling of what's been dubbed the Epstein files, but 60% said they do not think the administration has been transparent. 74% of Democrats, 64% of independents said they didn't think the president had been open or transparent. I'm surprised that 26% of Democrats actually thought the president was transparent. That's a major win. Wow. I don't think he's being transparent either, but I understand the constraints. Tulsi Gabbard's unprecedented accusation. Well, she delivered the receipts, and they still deny it. NBC News with Andrea Kramer. Yes. Plus, the continued focus and criticism toward Trump administration over the Jeffrey Epstein case forced the White House to pivot its usual approach to hot-button issues. White House tightens its grip on Epstein messaging. If the Trump administration thought the uproar of Epstein would pass, they were wrong. The House Oversight Committee voted yesterday to subpoena the Justice Department to release files tied to the case, which is absolutely ridiculous. Why are the Republicans doing this? Covering their own asses for the 2026 congressional races. They don't want to be seen not acting. But the problem is this. You're going to subpoena the Justice Department. They can't release things that are part of grand jury testimony without the judge giving the consent. So you're trying to put people in jail over something they have no control over. They've already asked for that to be released, and the judges have said no. U.S.-funded contraceptives for poor nations are going to be burned in France. What's going on here, folks? Yeah. U.S.-funded contraceptives worth nearly $10 million are being sent to France from Belgium to be incinerated. after the U.S. rejected offers from the UN and family planning organizations to buy or ship the supplies to poor nations. Government will spend $167,000 to incinerate the stocks at a facility in France that handles medical waste. The Belgian Foreign Ministry said Brussels had held talks with U.S. authorities and explored all possible options to prevent the destruction, including temporary relocation. The supplies worth $9.7 million are due to expire between April of 2027 and September of 2031. But this stuff is packaged with USAID stamps all over it, and USAID doesn't exist anymore, so that's probably why they're doing it. Green card holders in the U.S. have been cautioned. This is normal, but the media felt they need to tell you about it. If you are not a U.S. citizen and you're living here, you must carry your green card with you at all times, folks. This isn't new. It's just being reiterated so that people know to carry it with them. Customs and Border Police issued an important reminder to all green card holders that they have to carry at all times with them proof of their alien registration as mandated by the law. Failing to do so can lead to a misdemeanor and fines if you stop by federal law enforcement. It's not a new law, and non-citizens are required to carry proof of their legal status in the U.S. always. But the Trump administration's reminder shows the crackdown on green card holders, lawful permanent residents, will continue, and just because they're legally residing in the country does not mean they will not be punished. Well, if you're a criminal, you'll be punished. I don't care what your status is. You got to get beyond that. So here it is from Customs and Border Patrol. Green card holders and lawful permanent residents, every alien 18 years of age and older, shall at all times carry with him and have in his personal possession any certificate of alien registration or alien registration receipt card issued to him. Failing to do so can lead to misdemeanor and fines if you're stopped by federal law enforcement. If you're a non-citizen, please follow the laws of the United States. Section 1304, paragraph E of Title 8 of the U.S. Code. Pretty simple, folks. Not rocket science. Pretty simple. Well, the State Department has cut some of their China experts, and NPR felt the need to tell us about it before they run out of money. State Department fired its top experts in the South China Sea and shuttered the office with a key focus on Indo-Pacific security amid sweeping reorganization this month. Cut comes as members of President Trump's administration, as well as both Democrat and Republican lawmakers, continue to say security and free navigation to the South China Sea is a priority. But they're letting go of the analyst. It's a madhouse. U.S. State Department workers reeling after Trump's firings. About 3,000 workers have left the agency through firings and buyouts and a move Democrats and staff call unlawful. But they're wrong. Workers at the State Department say firings, resignations, buyouts, and a proposed budget cut of 48% and reorganization under Trump administration has left staff with low morale and will likely have long-term impacts. Well, I'm not surprised it's low morale. Yep. Foreign programs and services aimed towards LGBTQ plus communities, maternal reproductive health, and minority groups have been removed or cut in place of far-right ideological policies being pursued by a 26-year-old senior advisor and Trump appointee. Senate Democrats and workers have criticized recent firings of the department and characterized them as unlawful, sloppy, and rushed. More than 1,350 employees at the State Department received reduction in force notices on July 11th after the Supreme Court gave Trump the authority that he had and restored it. Over 24,000 Veterans Administration positions are going to face a potential downgrade. Department of Veterans Affairs is reviewing 1,000 positions at risk of possible downgrade in the respective pay scales. The VA began the work this last year under Biden administration, but has greatly expanded its scope and continuing under the Trump administration. It's a consistency review. Apparently, a lot of people were hired at positions higher than they should have been, which is costing us billions and billions and billions of dollars. Yep. So, VA, 24,000 positions being downgraded potentially. National Public Radio's chief calls it quits before she gets sacked. NPR news chief announces she's leaving days after Congress kills federal funding. NPR's editor-in-chief and acting chief content officer Edith Chapin told colleagues Tuesday that she's decided to step down. The veteran news leader's announcement comes just days after Republican-led Congress, driven largely by Trump's claims of liberal bias, voted to strip public broadcasting of all federal funding. She says the choice was hers and not driven by the action in Congress. In a brief interview, she said she was surprised that NPR CEO Catherine Mayer and her decision. She surprised the NPR's CEO with her decision 2 weeks ago. Yep. Japanese car companies just got themselves a good deal. Remember Trump's 25% global tariff on automobiles? Well, apparently it may not apply to the Japanese who just negotiated a 15% tariff. If so, the bastards at American car companies that sold us down the river and moved our production from Michigan to Ontario and Mexico will have to pay 25 and 35%. Japanese they'll get a cost advantage. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. That's what you get, Government Motors, Chrysler, Stellantis, for shipping our production overseas, you treasonous bastards. Some auto analysts say Japanese car companies may benefit more than their rivals. Yes, they may. A day after the United States reached a trade deal that imposed a 15% tariff on imports from Japan, President Donald Trump declared that U.S. business would boom But early reads from all the analysts paint a murky picture. If anything, some experts say Japanese companies may benefit more than their rivals. That's because these American car companies have sold us down the river and manufacture our cars abroad, just on the other side of the border, to evade paying U.S. taxes. And they screwed us. Thank you for 35 Rand, Sylvester Stallone. Yeah. No empathy for them. Of all the federal agencies in America, the State Department is by far the most corrupt and most ignored. Pentagon Watchdog has evidence that Pete Hegseth's Signal app messages included classified information. Really? Can we talk about the top secret sensitive compartment information that was kept in a broom closet by Hillary Clinton? Can we talk about that? She was Secretary of State and stole imagery from inside. Let me just run through how this works, folks. Okay, in order for that to happen, somebody must go into a building where there's access control by law enforcement. They must carry removable media, which is illegal. You cannot take removable media unless you're authorized into that building. Went into what's called a SCIF, a sensitive compartmented information facility, which has federal regulations that require certain things must be done. Usually have double barriers, lots of locks, alarm intrusion system, and also active guards. So carried a device like this went into a computer on a top secret network, sensitive compartment at the highest classification, stuck the drive into what is supposed to be a disabled USB connection or cable connection. Those are supposed to be disabled so you can't hook things up to them. Then stole top secret sensitive compartment information data, loaded it onto a thumb drive, removed the thumb drive, walked out of the building, went to wherever they're going, stuck it in a computer, and then sent it over open airwaves to people. And that was later stored in a broom closet in Arizona from an ISP. So, number one, entering the facility with the intent to steal information is a felony. Number one. Number two, taking this device into a SCIF is another violation. That's not a felony, it's a violation. Sticking this device into a computer to take files off it is a felony. Taking this device out of the SCIF is a felony. Exiting the building with the classified data is a felony. Transporting the classified data elsewhere is a felony. Then taking this device and sticking it in an unclassified, uncontrolled, non-government owned device is another felony. Then transmitting over open airwaves is yet another felony. How many felonies have I mentioned here? And they're worried about Pete Hegseth saying something in a signal message. It's still documents. He may have inadvertently disclosed something, which is wrong. But this is news. Hillary Clinton committed dozens of felonies, hundreds of times. And when questioned about this, asking about whether she used bleach bit to clean and wipe her hard drives, which is what she did, she said, "You wipe? You mean like with a cloth?" The arrogance of these asshats is unbelievable. But CNN's worried about Pete Hegseth and Signal App. The Pentagon Inspector General received evidence that the military plans shared from Secretary of Defense Hegseth's signal count to group chat earlier this year were taken from a U.S. Central Command document that was marked classified at the time. Pentagon Watchdog, which has launched a review in April of Hegseth's use of commercial messaging app to share information related to military operations, obtained in the document early days of its investigation. Document is marked secret no form. Oh, it's not even TSSCI. It's secret. It's collateral. Oh my goodness. That doesn't make it, it doesn't change the severity, but it definitely changes the risk. Wow. Hillary Clinton stole stuff that cost us tens of billions of dollars to acquire and jeopardize people's lives and collection platforms. He disclosed something it's not even anywhere near that severe, potentially. Unbelievable. Well, the president has come out with preventing woke artificial intelligence in the federal government. Yep. One of the most pervasive and destructive ideologies is so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion. In the AI context, it includes the suppression of or distortion of factual information about race or sex, manipulation of racial and sexual representation in the model outputs, incorporation of concepts like critical race theory, transgenderism, unconscious bias, intersectionality, and systemic racism, and discrimination on the basis of race or sex. DEI displaces the commitment to truth in favor of preferred outcomes, and as recent history illustrates, poses an existential threat to reliable artificial intelligence. For example, one major artificial intelligence model changed the race or sex of historical figures, including the Pope, made him a black woman if I remember correctly, the Founding Fathers made them all black, and Vikings, who are not black. When prompted for images because it was trained to prioritize DEI requirements at the cost of accuracy, Another AI model refused to produce images celebrating the achievements of white people, even while complying with the same requests for people of other races. You asked for the achievements of black people, they gave them. Asked for achievements of Asian Pacific Islanders, they gave them. When you asked for the achievements of white people, it refused to do it. In yet another case, an AI model asserted that a user should not misgender another person, even if necessary to stop a nuclear apocalypse. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the problem. So Trump has put an executive order in for the federal government to ban that nonsense. So here's a story that wasn't a story. They tried to undermine the character of Pete Hegseth several months ago by claiming that he was never admitted to West Point, and he produced a letter from West Point. Well, we find out now that West Point lied. Inside West Point, bureaucrats working there said he was never here. Anybody can make a letter. Yeah. And that started this whole tempest in a teapot. And they're trying to turn it back on Pete Hegseth now, but it was actually the media who tried to run the story. West Point emails reveal how the prestigious military academy messed up Pete Hegseth's admission status. That's fine, Business Insider. But later on, they blame Hegseth. Yep. On the morning of December 11th, Hegseth wrote on X that the investigative news website ProPublica was about to run a knowingly false story saying that it hadn't been admitted, that he had not been into the military academy where many America's officers are trained. ProPublica denied Hegseth's claim, saying it had simply asked Hegseth to respond to a statement by a West Point public affairs official who told the news outlet that Hegseth hadn't even applied, much less been admitted. So West Point lied. At the time, Hegseth and his allies used the incident to blame West Point in the media. Well, they should, because West Point lied. The new records show the mistake was West Point's, which neglected to review an old archive of the Academy's thousands of past applicants before controversy took off. Internal emails released to Business Insider under the Freedom of Information Act show West Point staffers exchanged emails on December 10th about Hegseth's claim. Look what they now provided, Teresa Brinkerhoff, a public affairs official, wrote to West Point employee. In another email thread, employee whose name was redacted wrote, anyone can generate an acceptance letter. It doesn't mean it's legit. Very true, said Brinkerhoff. But by the afternoon of the 10th, West Point staff seemed to have realized their mistake. He's in there, an employee whose name was redacted wrote an email. It's an old archive table. The person said, typing out a line of search query language to demonstrate how the mission's record could be found. The record shows that he declined the offer. He ended up going to Princeton and went to ROTC. So Hegseth was admitted to West Point. He said he was admitted to West Point, and then the left tried to claim that he wasn't. And then they tried to blame him for making controversy when they started it. Do you see what goes on here? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable what they get away with. The United States drops to the lowest ranking ever on the index of passport reliability. The United States fell to 10th on the ranking, which is based on the number of places a traveler can visit without a visa. Americans once held the world's most powerful key to international travel, but in the latest edition of the Henley Passport Index, released last week, U.S. passports dropped to the lowest position yet, outranked by affluent Asian countries that dominated the top of the list. U.S. came in 10th, now tied with Iceland and Lithuania. The U.S. last topped the list in 2014. Well, it's just an opinion survey. Well, TikTok got a fine for Sophie Cunningham, the star of the Indiana Fever, the hottie, got a fine. Sophie Cunningham isn't taking her fine quietly. The Fever star hid out at the WNBA after she was fined $500 for TikTok that she posted last week, where she seemingly took a shot at referees in a post on X. I got fined $500 for this TikTok, she wrote, along with 2 crying, laughing emojis while sharing the video. I don't know why this is funny to me. Are you okay? You got it, bud? Because there's a lot more important things to be worried about with our league right now. Yeah, there she is, Sophie Cunningham. Anyway, there she is on the court. It wasn't clear what Cunningham was referring to when she said the league had more important things to deal with, but there are high-profile collective bargaining negotiations underway right now. She was contacted over the weekend, and she said, you can just tell the commissioner to pay us, and then we can have a discussion. There she is on the court. She was fined last month for her role in a fiery acts incident where she tackled a player on a layup after they assaulted Caitlin Clark. She hit out the refs afterward as well as post-game comments, so now they're going after her. Black lesbian athletes complain about referees, and they don't get fines. So here's something else to cover very quickly. About 10 or 15 years ago, we had these so-called linguists and historians who claim that the word okay is an African word. It was brought to America by enslaved peoples, and we adopted it in a language from enslaved peoples. At the time, I said that's a poppycock story. There are things that came from African languages that made their way, and things that made it into Gullah, that made it into the American lexicon. But that was a bogus claim, not supported by the facts. Now, historians, linguists, and others have settled on the fact that it's Martin Van Buren who's responsible for it. Yeah, from Buenos Aires to Bangkok, Montreal to Moscow, the languages may differ, but nearly every taxi driver, street vendor in the world understands one word made famous during a raucous U.S. presidential campaign 200 years ago. It's okay, a tiny word that punches well above its weight. It means both yes and I understand. It's a noun. I got the okay for the story from my editor. It's a verb. She okayed it. And it's an adjective. The story turned out okay. Let's give even simple interjection, okay, enough with the grammar lesson. Yeah, so where did it come from? The origin has been debated for a long time. But most scholars now fall in line with the conclusion that Alan Walker Reed, a Columbia University English professor in 1960, set out to settle the mystery of okay's origin. He followed his trail back to a playful misspelling of all correct or all correct. The term first appeared in the Boston Morning Post on March 23, 1839, although it had probably been used colloquially before that. It germinates from a linguistic fad at the time, a playful trend not unlike Cockney rhyming slang in which people would abbreviate common phrases with deliberate jocular misspellings. In July 1839, the word appears in a paragraph written by the editor of the Baltimore Sun. He thanks some anonymous gentleman for the gift of bottles of wine, and he pronounces the wine okay. But it was the following year, in 1840, after the re-election and campaign of President Martin Van Buren, that really brought the word into its own. Mark Cheatham, project director of the papers of Martin Van Buren, professor of history at Cumberland University, notes that conveniently, okay lined up with a nickname that was attached to Van Buren, Old Kinderhook, a reference to the president's birthplace in Kinderhook, New York. Political nicknames were in vogue at the time. Cheatham adds, Van Buren's predecessor, Andrew Jackson, was known as Old Hickory, and his 1840 rival, William Henry Harrison, was known as Old Tippecanoe. Van Buren's supporters formed OK clubs aimed at energizing the candidate's political base. Some contemporaneous accounts suggest the clubs added muscle to the campaign. Van Buren even began signing documents with OK to reinforce the association. So, there you go. That's where it came from. It didn't come from slaves. Total poppycock, as I said 10, 15 years ago. All right, so let's see what Cyril's got to say here. That's the news, and you guys want to hear what he had to say, so let's see if I can explain.
Well, we've heard about what has happened in a House committee, and that whole process still has a long way to go, and discussions will be ongoing, and we don't know exactly what is driving all this, and our bilateral dealings and engagements with the United States will continue, and we will talk about
that's what we played already.
All manner of things, including precisely this issue and many others. We've got turned the world upside down and are a huge threat to us as well, because we export a lot of products to the United States, vehicles, agricultural products, and also mineral products, that is mining products. So the imposition of those tariffs will have a negative impact on us, and already our producers are already feeling.
I'm sorry. You weren't saying that 2 days ago. You weren't saying this until I reported this. You weren't saying any of this that I've been telling you for months. Suddenly you recognize that this is going to have an impact. Then why don't you have an ambassador? Why don't you have an envoy? Why don't you have a trade representative and a trade delegation in Washington right now? What are you so busy with? Visiting a BMW plant where 2,000 people have got training and being artists over 30 years? My goodness. This guy is clueless.
The pressure that is coming. And we are saying we are engaging with the United States.
No, they're not.
We are in discussions.
No, they're not.
With them. My visit to the United States was to open that door for engagement.
You closed it.
That is precisely what we are doing.
He's
now.
lying.
We are talking to them. They are
No, you're not.
talking to us. And we are exchanging a whole lot of ideas and proposals. And I'm hoping that those negotiations will bear fruit in the coming days. Time obviously is of the essence in as far as this is concerned. So a lot of work.
No, time is not of the essence. If time
now.
is of the essence, you wouldn't have sent 6 ministers, including the Minister of Trade and the Agricultural Minister, to China for a week when you only had 2 weeks left to resolve this. Time is not of the essence. You don't care, Cyril. This is all bogus. This guy is just so full of it. So full of it. And there's the news for today, folks. How we doing? 670 people still here. I don't think we ever got to 1,000 today. Be sure to hit the like button. He is completely out of touch. Cock prodder of note. Yep. Tell him like it is, Colonel. You always call space. But well, Dean. Hey, Dean Chancey, what's going on, man? What's going on? What a load of crock, squirrel. How stupid do you think we are? Yeah, China must have said, no, give him money now. He wants to talk to USA. Yeah, he's definitely living in a parallel universe. That's for damn sure. He is delusional. Yep. The man lies with his mouth open and his eyes open. Yep. Very out of touch. What else we got here? You guys are ragging on him for sure here. Aaron Cuthbert, welcome to you. Just had a look at the embassy website. A lot of info added, and they have a diagram of how the process works. Okay, well, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Let me go to za.usembassy.gov. Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, they put a diagram there. Guys, okay, I'm going to take credit for this, okay? I could be wrong. Maybe it's a bogus claim, but I spoke to the U.S. government about this a week ago, what they needed to do. And here we are a week later, and guess what? They've gone and done it. Coincidence or coincidence? It may have nothing to do with me, but I begged them to do this and said, you're killing me. You're killing me. Check it out. Well stated there. Here's the link for people, and go check it out. I'll have to do a video on that real quick when I'm done here. Wow, 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 wow. That's really awesome to see. Thank you for checking on the website. I hadn't checked today. I don't check every day. I check a couple times a week. What's that? What's going on there? What the hell is that? Did it go through? There it is. Okay, well, something weird was going on there. Okay, gone through. So there you go. So this is what it looks like, folks. They've changed it. Emissions for Afrikaners under, yeah, but it's not Afrikaners. What's going on here? Did they change it? Okay, so see, this is the problem. Emissions for Afrikaners executive order. That's the title of this. That's not helpful. Okay, then they say that they're managing all refugee processing in South Africa now. So now they're doing all of it. It's no longer a State Department doing it. Okay, and here they said, as of July, the Department of State shifted all support functions, RSC, which is operated by Church World Service and based in Nairobi. Trusted partner over 20 years. Thank you. They'll be conducting the intake and referral interviews, collecting applicants' data, requesting background checks, scheduling interviews, arranging for medical exams, and booking travel. I reported on all that last week. And here's, they put the little map on there. So there you go. Check it out. Complete the statement of interest, initial assessment, first interview, ongoing security briefings. Yep. Decision, third interview, second interview, embassy. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Finally. As part of the transition, Embassy Pretoria will retire the email addresses previously used for general inquiries and interview scheduling. There you go. So that they're telling you that will no longer be used. It here says Afrikaner nationality, a member of a racial minority. There you go. So that stays. If you already submitted a statement of interest, there's no need to resubmit. If you've already submitted a statement, there's no need to resubmit. They will work through the sizable volume of submissions. Not all individuals who meet the basic criteria and selected for initiative will be referred. They consider a variety of factors, okay? All right. There you go, folks. There you go. So it's changed. Wow, that is huge news. Huge news. Huge news. That is huge news. Well, Napoleon Dynamite, that's your opinion. That's not the U.S. government's opinion. I'm sure Trump's administration saw squirrels cockbrot. Fraud line, not deadline. What's that? Not a coincidence, Chris. I bet my most precious ball of yarn on it. If you knew me, my yarn is very precious. Yeah, Ingrid, I'm pretty sure that that's because I asked them. I said, hey, guys, you got to stop. You got to do something here. You're killing me here. People need to know. JC, you got... look, I have gotten close to 100 messages this week from people that have gotten calls from RSC, that have gotten emails from RSC, that have booked appointments already. Yeah, it's on. Legion, 100 Rand, thank you for that super chat. Okay, from Amazon, our best outlet, keep some here and in USA. What's that? So now I go back into the line, even though I had interviewed booked. No, you don't go back in line, Loretta. What are you talking about? What do you, no. Where do you, how do you draw that conclusion? How do you draw that conclusion? Well, somebody didn't update the date. Oh my gosh. Good Lord, Rebecca. Seriously? Somebody didn't update the date. I mean, does everything you type come out correctly in messages? When you submit a paper in high school or university, did you get everything correct? Somebody failed to update the date. Yeah. Pretty simple. They also should have said emissions for Afrikaners. Because now that's what's going to be latched on. So it's only all for Connors. And the lazy people won't scroll down the screen and see that it's racial minorities. ET Garden Service, amazing. Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, thank the person who mentioned to me. Hey, Light Rain, what's going on? Got my email yesterday and a phone call today, so thank you for all your... There you go. There you go. Quits. There you go. There you go. I'm just saying. The date says the same because that's when the program was launched. Exactly. That's the reason for it. What they should have done is put 12 May and then put updated on at the bottom. That's what I do when I update web pages. I haven't done web for a while, but that's what they should have done. Yeah, don't resubmit your statement. That's what I've been telling people all along. Don't resubmit your statement. Do not flood the system. Anyway, you don't go back in the queue. They just aren't using that anymore. Yes, people assume dumb things. Yep, people make dumb assumptions. I mean, look, I was talking to CNN guy this morning. I said, he asked how my morning's going. I said, well, I've been pretty busy. I didn't go to bed till 3 o'clock last night because I spent an hour answering emails. And I'm answering emails that as if I was an immigration consultant, I'd be making $500 an hour doing. So that was $500 last night, plus 3 hours yesterday. That was $2,000 billing I didn't get. This morning I spent another hour and a half. That's another $750. That's $2,250 that I didn't make in the last 24 hours that if I charged people for this, I would have made. But of course, most of y'all don't have any money, so you wouldn't have paid me. Thank you for that. We all know they're not going to read it. Yeah, exactly, Phoenix. They're not going to read it, and they're not going to watch my videos, and they're still going to say it's for white farmers. That's what they're going to say. That's what's going to happen. Yep. All right, guys. In order for me to make a video about that very quickly and turn people on to that, I'm going to have to end the stream now because I have Charles at the top of the next hour. So let me, before you all disappear on me, let me go check and make sure I got that set up. I'm sure I do. Okay, Charles up in the next hour, so you're going to be diverted to that. So there'll be a break between that and this. So I was going to run up into it. So if you want to catch the interview with Charles, let me just make sure that he's still good. He hasn't dropped off on me. Okay, cool. He's still good. Okay, so, all right. So, yeah, so this will take you there. There'll be a break for about a half an hour, but we'll live stream with Charles and a refugee that's here in the States, okay? Reason for asking because my call came from U.S. Now it will be running from a different place. No, it's not a stupid question, Loretta. Not a stupid question. Your information should have been forwarded. They didn't just drop the cases. They transferred the cases they had over. So I'm not sure what process they did on that and how they're handling it. But that's how it should happen. Yep. That's how it should happen. Okay? All right, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it. Be sure to hit the like button. Got 699 likes. Can't we do better than that? All righty. And we'll see you in 30 minutes for the conversation with another FG. Cheers.